What is going on, everybody? Welcome back, Dudes Who Bet Daily, January 11, 2023. Fresh off a national massacre in the national title game there. You saw Georgia just dominate TCU. Not totally shocked by it, Aaron. I know you were big time on Georgia there. What does this do for TCU's program moving forward? And Georgia installed as a 3-1 favorite to win the title next year.
Well, I think for TCU, I think you kind of knew with all the seniors on their team, it was kind of a one-shot deal anyway, kind of a magical type of season, whatever you want to call it. Going forward, I think that's going to be the problem. They're going to have a lot of roster turnover and just a lot of guys they're going to have to replace. Whether you lose that game by 10 or by, 58, it doesn't really matter. That was still going to be the problem coming into this year. You do hate it for kind of the little school, quote unquote, underdog type of thing. And because, boy, it did not go well whatsoever. And I've seen a lot of people upset with the college football playoff committee. Guys, they beat Michigan, so it's not like they were one and done in this thing. They kind of earned their way after losing that Big 12 championship game to come back and beat Michigan like they did. So it sucks, though, that we get a championship game that horrific.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. They beat Michigan, so you can't really knock the committee for putting them in. They gave us a phenomenal semifinal game, one of the most memorable days in college football, I'd say, in a long time, those two semifinal games. Papa, dude, with the expansion of the playoffs, this is going to become more common, right? I mean, when you got 8 teams in there, you're going to see more of these matchups where it's this just upper echelon, top 2 or 3 teams in a year, and have these, I'm not going to say TCU's lower level, but clearly not the same class as Georgia that they're going to have to face in that first round.
Yeah, that's part of it. But right now, the division between the SEC, and I hate to say this because I don't like the SEC, it's not even close. They've just got to go. And imagine Alabama's the second favorite to win the national championship, probably.
Yep.
And
deservedly
so. Yeah. So, it was just interesting, that TCU beat Michigan. That is the biggest shocker of all. But when you think about it, Michigan gave them the game. They just played so bad and blew so many opportunities. But yeah, it was difficult. I think TCU, you got a program like that, it's very difficult for them to keep up. And that was a once in a lifetime thing for them, probably. I mean, they've had good teams over the years, but to be consistent in the state they're in is very difficult to do. Very small private school, very difficult for them to do. I think they'll stay relevant. The Big 12 is not great, and there's no reason why they can't continue to compete. But, a great year for them. They just need to forget it and go on. I mean, what else can they do?
Yeah, pretty surprised TCU is installed as your favorite next year in the Big 12. We'll see if that holds up through the offseason. I think the difference, Aaron, is that Alabama, Georgia, LSU, they're not relying on the transfer portal because they are just stacking up recruiting class after recruiting class. So we talk about the transfer portal and how it's tough for college football. The teams that are at the top don't care about the transfer portal because they've got all the talent in the world.
Yeah, sorry about that, but a lot of teams on the second level are relying on their third and fourth stringers to transfer to their schools, and so that's what you're getting. Right. I mean, recruiting is still going to be the big thing. It's still going to be really important. You got to get the best players, and you get the best players and they're playing. They're not going to transfer from Georgia, from Alabama, and from places like that. So that's the key. And really, you could throw in Ohio State as well. Like those guys they've been able to keep for the most part. And so your bigger schools aren't having that are good, at least, aren't having that big problem. So, TCU being the favorite in the Big 12. I don't think they'll be better than about 7-5 next year.
It'll be interesting to see how well they do in the transfer portal, and if this kind of boosts them up to a higher echelon of being able to get players to come in there. They're losing a ton of starters, as you mentioned, so it'll be interesting to see how they can come back here. All right, let's look ahead now. Let's take a look at the NFL. We're going to take a look at the Super Bowl to kind of kick this off, give some Super Bowl bets if we have any, and then also talk a little bit about possible Super Bowl matchups. So first off, let's just look at the straight-up odds to win. This is today, provided by Bovada here. KC installed at your favorite, plus 325. Pretty much the Bills or the Chiefs have been the favorite the entire year. San Francisco sitting there with rookie quarterback at 5-1. Eagles and the Bengals sitting at 550 and 9-1, respectively. Papa Dude, we'll kick it off with you here. Is there anyone outside those first 5 that can win the Super Bowl? or is it really just kind of it's going to chalk out in some manner there?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think one of those top five. Dallas is too inconsistent. The Chargers, you don't know what they're going to do. The rest aren't any good. They're not good enough. They're just not to go win that many games. I don't think. I think the Chargers might have the best talent of the rest of those teams, but they're the Chargers, so you can't pick them. We kind of talked about this Monday night during the boring game, and we had to find something to talk about. And I hate to go first because I think that Aaron and I are both on the same team.
Yeah.
At long shot, not that long a shot. But if I had to pick out of those top five a team that I think is under the radar a little bit, it would be the Bengals. I like them a lot, and I think they're capable of beating Buffalo if it gets to there. So I like the Bengals a lot at plus 900. I like the Niners, but you've got to deal with logic. And Brock Purdy winning the Super Bowl, it just doesn't happen. It just doesn't. He's been phenomenal. I look at their schedule, though. He hasn't really beat a good team during this stretch. So, and the NFC West was down this year. So, we'll see. I could see them getting beat this week. I could. So I would go with the Bengals out of that to win at a longer shot than the others. I do think it's going to be difficult to bet against the Chiefs the way they're playing right now.
Yeah, I have the Chiefs that I bet preseason. We talked about it all the way back when. I bet Mahomes MVP, Chiefs Super Bowl. I'm not going to change that right now. The NFC to me is just an absolute mess. I mean, it's tough to think Brock Purdy's going to be able to take the Niners, who probably have the best roster from 1 to 53 on this list here. But it's tough to back a rookie quarterback, let alone a rookie quarterback who's only started a handful of games here, has won them all, but you have to be in a really high leverage spot to win the Super Bowl. And the Eagles at 550, I just don't trust the Eagles either. And they're banged up more than they have been the entire season right now toward the end of the year. Aaron, you going to make a case for the Bengals here at 9-1 as well, or are you going to kind of go with me and chalk out with the Chiefs or the Bills?
Well, I think the Chiefs and the Bills are definitely your best bets, and those prices aren't horrible, right? Basically 7-2, 4-1 if we're talking about horse racing terms. So that's not bad, and I get it if you want to do it. I will take the Bengals at 9-1. Yes, I just think this team is playing so well right now. I think, like I said, and you never really know what would have happened in that game when they matched up against Buffalo a couple weeks ago. It looked like they were going to run away with it a little bit to me, and Buffalo didn't have any thoughts of stopping them on a couple of drives there. I'll give you guys a stupid one, but one that I don't think they should be this price based on their talent level. That's the Chargers at 25-1. They're healthy. They're playing much better than they played at the start of the season. If you really wanted to take a flyer, and you're probably going to end up getting really mad because they'll blow something eventually, but at 25-1, that's a team that's almost defeated the Chiefs a couple times and played right with them that you're taking at 3-1. And I get it's the Chargers, but at 25-1, that's mispriced. So I would take a little flyer with that, but overall, I think the Bengals are the play for me at 9-1.
If I'm going to take a flyer, I'm going to go to the NFC. Just because I do think it's a little bit weaker, I would take Dallas at 16-1 if you want to play one of the larger shots. I don't actually think I can make a case for them to win the Super Bowl, but they have a defense that can turn you over. They can run the football. They can throw the football. Wildly inconsistent. Don't like Mike McCarthy. Not a big fan of Dak. So there's a bunch of reasons why it's tough to swallow 16-1 there. But in a conference where I could see pretty much any of the 7 teams imploding at any point, I would rather take a shot there. And the thing with the Chargers to me is they can't stop the run. And at some point that's going to matter. And if you like the Bengals, Kansas City is even better because Kansas City gets to play the AFC title game at home if it's not the Bills. And so if the Bengals are able to take care of the Bills in the second round matchup, I think we're all anticipating, then Kansas City gets a bigger advantage heading in toward the Super Bowl there. All right, let's jump over here. Let's take a look at the exact odds because it's a little more fun, especially if you like one of the teams at the top. This is Super Bowl matchup odds. So you got to pick the exact Super Bowl. Your favorite here is Chiefs Eagles or Chiefs Niners, sitting at 6.5-1. But you can get some interesting prices. I mean, if you like Chargers Niners, you're getting 30-1 there just to make the game. Aaron, you want to kick us off here? What bets jump out to you?
Well, I would have to play this Chiefs 49ers at plus 650 because that was my pick when the season started. If you go back to Blinkers Off Thursday show right before the game kicked off, we said we're going to go with the Chiefs and the 49ers. We both picked them unbelievably. So I would have to go with that, and I'll stick with that at plus 650. That was my pick beforehand. I'll stick with it. With these specific matchups, the Chiefs do become a little bit more interesting because you can get them and take a flyer on another side of the deal here and be able to, not have to choke down, 3.5 to 1 basically just on them to win.
Yeah, I would make the case for Chiefs Dallas at 15 to 1. But same idea between. I don't want to take one of the top 2 seeds in the NFC. I'd rather try and take a shot with somebody else. To me, Dallas is probably the third best team right now in that conference. Papa, did anyone else jump out to you here?
Oh, you might look at the Bengals 49ers at plus 1,200. That's one you might look at too, or Buffalo and the Niners at plus 800. Mm-hmm. One comment I'd make about the Chargers. The thing I don't like about them is if everything goes right, they're going to have to beat Kansas City. And I don't think they can do it. I think they're capable, but I don't think they will. I just don't think they have the coaching that can go in there and win that game. And one of the reasons I like the Bengals is the last 2 times they beat the Chiefs, or they played the Chiefs, they beat them. Mm-hmm. And once was in Kansas City. So they know they can beat them. And Kansas City struggles with them. So are the Bengals Chiefs on there anywhere? I'm trying to find them here.
That would be AFC title.
That's AFC there, buddy.
Yeah.
Do what now? AFC. I haven't had time to look at this and study it here, which would probably make it even worse.
I'll book that bet if you want to make it. Though.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. I think we're kind of leaving the Bills out a little bit. Because here's the deal. If they get to the championship game, it's on a neutral field. And I think they can beat the Chiefs. I think they can. So, I'm probably going with the Chiefs because I do think with Mahomes, you've got a little bit of edge over anybody. But that Bengals at plus 800 against the Niners, Bengals against the Niners at 1,200, and then you look at the Eagles too. That's something you might want to look at if you don't want to bet the chalk.
Yeah, these are fun bets to just take a sprinkle on because you can get the 15 to 1, 20 to 1, 30 to 1, whatever you're looking for if you want to take a couple shots. And it generally pays out a little bit better than a money line parlay if you're just taking 2 teams to try and get to the Super Bowl here. Aaron, we haven't talked much Bills, which is surprising, the second choice in the betting here. I guess the 1B to Kansas City's 1A in the AFC, they don't need to play on the road for the rest of the year as long as they keep winning. I don't trust that defense. They seem to be giving up some points right now later in the year, and that's my biggest concern with Buffalo is that a defense that we thought was going to be very good, that lost Von Miller, lost some of their pass rush, has had issues in the secondary from a health perspective. This is not the conference you want to be thinner on defense heading into the playoffs.
It's a weird situation with them, right? Because they've got the great story behind them. They were the favorites coming into the season. They really haven't done horribly bad off of that. Obviously, I mean, they would have been the 1 or 2 seed, and like say they're the 1A or 1B, I guess now. I don't trust them either. And honestly, I'll give you a hot take here, and Papa Dude's head may explode. I think the Chargers and the Bengals have a better chance to beat the Chiefs than the Bills do. I really do. I think when the chips are down, the Chiefs will beat the Bills again in the playoffs if that's the matchup. I really believe that. And listen, and I know the Chargers, they've had their demons, but one of these games against Kansas City, they're going to win. They're not going to lose every single game by 3 points to Kansas City for the rest of eternity. And it may not be in the playoffs if they get them, but one of the days they're going to get them. And I think they're dangerous. And again, with the Bills, they may make an idiot out of me, but I'm with you, Somich. There's something about them. I don't trust them.
Yeah, wild to look at the NFC and the AFC here and to look at, okay, well, what quarterbacks are in the playoffs? From the NFC, it's Geno Smith, it's Brock Purdy, it's Daniel Jones, it's Kirk Cousins. You've got Dak Prescott, an aging Tom Brady, and from the 1 seed, you've got Jalen Hurts. On the AFC side, it's Mahomes, it's Burrow, it's even Trevor Lawrence. I mean, it's just go down the list. And if Tua and Lamar Jackson were healthy, I don't think either will play this weekend. If they were healthy, you could argue that all 7 of the best quarterbacks in the playoffs are actually on the AFC side of the ball, which is just wild.
Yeah. You left out Herbert.
Yeah, I didn't even say Herbert. I mean, when you go down the list in the AFC, it's crazy how stacked they are from a quarterback perspective. One bet that comes up every year that I have not seen yet, AFC versus NFC future number on the Super Bowl. If it's anything less than a field goal, I like the AFC. I know I'm getting a better quarterback no matter who makes it through. And I feel like you could have absolute chaos on the NFC side of this bracket.
It kind of feels like the NFC is kind of the JV. And I think when we watch these games, we're going to be like, they may be competitive games over in the NFC, but we're going to be like, yeah, they can't match up. And I think that's what we're going to. The only team that, Philadelphia, Hurts back, maybe they just run through that NFC. But if you see a team that's like struggling to get through it and they make it, but they won their games by 3 or 4 points, it's probably going to be a lopsided Super Bowl. For me, for one of those NFC teams to be competitive, within, let's say 10 points, 14 points of the AFC, we need to see a dominant run through that NFC because that is a weak bunch.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting playoffs. Both sides. You got obviously just a very, very unique playoff setting here with the turmoil you have on one side, the quarterbacks on the other. Going to be a fun weekend this weekend, kicking it off. We'll talk about all those games on Saturday and Sunday. Let's jump into today's games, give out some little bets here. We'll start off on the hardwood. It's the Milwaukee Bucks laying 3, headed into Atlanta. Total sitting at 236.5 here. Bucks seem low at -3, don't they, Papa Dude?
They do. This is one of these trick games. Every once in a while the Hawks step up and play great. I think Milwaukee played last night, so they could be a little bit weary. But I think Atlanta's been on the West Coast, and they just came back home. So anyway, 236.5. Let's see. That's a lot of points. You could take the under. The Bucks should win. I took them tonight. They're better than the Hawks. The Hawks are struggling. So I think you go with the Bucks or you take the under.
I actually took the over here.
Oh, did you?
The Hawks just love to score and love to not stop anybody. So I went with that theory, especially with the Bucks. We'll see if Giannis plays. I think that's one of the reasons this line's sitting here. I haven't heard anything official yet, but it feels like a Giannis isn't playing type line, doesn't it, Aaron?
It does. It does. As Dr. Tang says, this is a fishy one. Bucks by 1. Bucks win. Hawks cover.
That's a very thin, razor-thin line you're calling there. Let's go to a game a little bit bigger of a spread. The Pelicans heading into Boston. Celtics laying 9.5 here. Total sitting at 231.5. Aaron, we'll start with you this time. Say Celtics big, and we'll go to your dad.
Celtics big.
I assumed as much. I kind of like the over here again, Papa Dude.
Yeah.
I think the Pelicans put up points here, and I think the Celtics can score right with them. They had a stretch there where they were putting up 125 plus a game. If they do that, I think this one definitely ends up over. What are your thoughts, Papa Dude?
Oh, I love the over on this one for sure. Pelicans aren't playing very well. A little leery of that 9.5, though. That's a lot of points, and the Pelicans are decent. I think they might be able to keep that under, but I think Boston wins.
Yeah, Pelicans can shoot, and if they shoot well, it's going to be tough to stay to brush them off by double digits there. Heading over to the ice, we got the Capitals -180 heading into Philadelphia +155. Total sitting at 6 in this game. Papa Dude, will start with you.
6. Capitals sometimes don't score very well, though. They don't. Tricky game. Flyers, decent at home, playing a little better. I'm going to go Capitals, though. I think they need this game badly. They're fighting for that 4th spot in the playoffs. Man, that East is loaded. There are some great teams in the East, and there's some good teams in the West. There are some very, very good hockey teams, and the Capitals need this one. So I'm going to go the Caps to win. That total, if I had to pick, I'd go over, I think.
Yes, Caps team is a good money line leg in my mind. The Flyers 8-10 at home, one of the worst home teams in the NFL in that sense. So I'll sprinkle the Caps here -180 and some money line parlays. Aaron, who do you like?
I like the Capitals. I like your pick there. I think -1.5. Take a little flyer with that. No pun intended, Flyers. Listen, the Flyers, here's the problem with them. Every once in a while, Hart plays a great game in goal and beats you. But he's been inconsistent. He started the season great. Then he kind of went downhill. He's been playing a little bit better lately. I think that's the fear, but Washington is the better team. They've really played well the last really month and a half of the season. So I'll take the Capitals.
All right, let's head out west. One other NHL game before we go into the race of the day here. Sharks +175 heading into Los Angeles -210. Total here sitting at 6.5 for two teams that can put the puck in the net. Aaron, what do you like here?
Yeah, definitely go over in this game. It seems like that's going to be the trend here. I like the Kings, and that's another one. I'm going to lay the goal and a half the Kings here. You said it, when a team can really score, sometimes that goal and a half isn't quite as scary, because you can score 5 goals in a game and be able to do that and cover. So I'll go the Kings. I will think, I think, like I said, I think the over is going to happen. Sharks, they're better than that record, but still tonight in LA, you got to go with the Kings.
Yeah, this would be the other half of my money line parlay if I was playing one in hockey. I would go Kings and Capitals. Get right around even money on that, Papa. I think they're both likely to win tonight.
Oh, I do too. Sharks played last night too. So Kings didn't. The Kings are under the radar, aren't they? Mm-hmm. You don't think about the Kings when you think about good teams. And look at their record. Man, they are playing some really good hockey. So I think they win this game. I think the Sharks have won their game for the week. And I picked Arizona last night. I thought they would beat them, and they didn't. So I like the Kings and the over as well.
Yeah, it's a interesting Kings team, which kind of reshuffled the deck on the fly and did a pretty good job. They've gotten a lot younger, but still have some of that veteran core from the multiple Stanley Cup runs they made in the early 2010s there. All right, let's jump over to the race of the day here. We're going to head to Gulfstream Park, race number 9 on the turf here, going 7.5 furlongs. Interesting race, quite a bit of speed. That's generally what you're looking for here. Aaron, did you go with one of the horses that's going to be out front, or did you kind of look for someone from off the pace?
Well, good news. I was on the wrong day here. Hold on. Let me get the 11th. I was on the 12th, Somich. So let me give my past performance.
I was on the wrong race.
Wait, it's race 8, right? Not race 9.
Yeah, race 8. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was on the right race. Okay.
All right. It's your fault. It's your fault.
Yeah,
right. All right. Race 8 on the card here at Gulfstream Park today. Totally Somich's fault. We weren't prepared for this. All right. I went with the number 1, Midnight Bella. You said it. A lot of speed in this race. This turf course been playing the speed. Surely, eventually, they're going to get that figured out to make it a little bit more fair course. Maybe it's today. Midnight Bella gets back on the turf here. Last time she was on the turf, she was a winner. So I like that. Went to the synthetic. Ran pretty well on the synthetic, but I think back to the turf is going to help. Midnight Bella on top for me. Opened a big closing kick for Saffie Joseph.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's tough to take any of the speed here. You got a couple horses coming out of turf sprints. I looked at Abuse of Power, the 2-horse for a little bit with Ortiz. Thought maybe we're going to lean there and see if we can go gate to wire. But you got a couple long shots that are 100% sending at some point in that spot. So tough to really rely on those. I landed on the 3 smart spending here for Barbosa, Paco Lopez, second off of a decent-sized layoff for a 5-year-old here. Barbosa, 27% second off the layoff. But for me, a big thing here is 3 for 9 at the distance with 3 times in the money, 3 other times in the money as well, and 3 for 9 at Gulfstream Park as well. The synthetic has really muddied up this horse's form. You've got 6 of the last 7 on synthetic. You pull those out, I think this horse fits with everybody else from a numbers perspective on the turf. So I'll take a little bit of a swing here at the 3-horse smart spending, 5-1 on the morning line. Papa, did you look at the race?
I did. This is beneath me, $35,000 starter. I don't look at these too often. 172 trifecta. 172. So Midnight Bella, Starship Malamar, I think it is, and I can't remember the other one. Abuse of Power or something like that.
We got the Team Halterman on the back of the 1. A lot of weight to carry there.
Wow. Yeah, I like your 3, Somich. I don't think that's. I have that horse in second. So there you go.
Yeah, a sneaky one where, like I said, you got to really be able to wade through the synthetic. But if you do, the horse makes some sense here on the turf, especially with the pace setup. All right, let's jump over to the best bets of the day. I'll kick it off here. I'm going back to the NBA. Give me the Sacramento Kings. I'll lay the 9.5 at home against the Rockets. The Rockets are in just disarray right now. You have some infighting inside that franchise. They're not any good anyway. And Sacramento is one of the better stories so far in the NBA here. They can put the ball in the net. They can score points at will. I think they do it tonight. I think they absolutely blow out the Rockets tonight. So give me the Kings. I'll lay the 9.5. A lot of points, but I think I got the significantly better team in this spot. Give me it, Aaron.
Rockets upset tonight. Rockets money line. Go Rockets.
Of course.
No. Kings.
Hey,
yeah.
We're going by 20 tonight, baby. All right, Papa, dude, give us that parlay.
All right, here we go. I've got a 2-team college parlay tonight. And Dr. Tanga, I meant to get a hold of him this morning and have him approve this. And I thought he might actually be working. I guess he doesn't ever work. But anyway, he and I were texting last night, sweating out some games. And we had a lot of fun. Anyway, The first one, Xavier plays Creighton at home tonight. I was going to take them and the points, or with the points, but in the Big East, if you're not ready to play, you can get beat. I don't care who you're playing. Creighton's capable of beating them, but Xavier is better than anybody in the Big East right now. They're rolling, so I'm going to take them on the money line over Creighton. And this is the biggie tonight. Cincinnati, it's not a big game, but this is my one I'm sweating a little bit. Cincinnati is at home with East Carolina. Similar records, 11-6 for Cincinnati, 10-7 for East Carolina. I don't like Dr. Tang saying yikes here. Anyway, I don't think this should be 10.5. I don't think Cincinnati is that good. So I'm going to go with ECU plus 10.5. We get plus 220 on this if we can win it.
Well, that's a good thing that you took money line there, Papa Dude. He likes trading with the points, which is fine. You both can win.
I would not have listened to Dr. Tang on that one.
All right, let's close it out here. Aaron, take us back to Gulfstream. Tell us about a winner today.
You made one really smart pick, Xavier. Like that pick. I don't think the Pirates stay within 20 of the Bearcats. Bearcats big tonight in Cincinnati.
The Bearcats suck.
They're going to be partying in Cincinnati. All right, let's go to Gulfstream Park. Let's round this thing up. Race 7 on the card. I'm going to go number 4, Signal from Noise. This is not a Somich horse. I bet you have a rebuttal for this one. Somich does not like horses coming out of big maiden wins and then going into allowances next time out. He usually goes against these horses. I usually go with them. Here's the deal. I think the race last time out was pretty darn impressive. And here's the deal, Somich. It was her second start. It wasn't a debut, right? So on debut, got beat by Tizzy in the Sky. Really nice filly. Came back next time out. Absolutely dominated. Simple. Run that race again. You're going to win. We're at a 1-turn mile for the 3rd straight time. We've got Irad Ortiz aboard for the 3rd straight time. We've got a little bit of speed signed on here with the 6, the 2, the 1. I think they're going to be dueling. I think the 4 sits right off of them. Pounces at the top of the stretch. I like number 4, Signal from Noise, in the 7th today at Gulfstream.
I just don't like betting Chad Brown's jumping up in class on dirt. I mean, that's the like you get. There's certain tracks where he does well with that. There's certain ones that he doesn't. And Gulfstream feels like a track that he doesn't generally do well. Don't love that it was Aqueduct that broke the maiden and not Backwaduck when the waters got a little deeper. However, that first race was very productive. First, second, third all come back to win the first start. I went with a class play here. I went with a 5-horse Classy Edition coming out of back-to-back graded stakes. I thought ran pretty well in both of them. Got beat by Kathleen O when she was at her peak powers there, 2 back in the Devona Dale. First off the layoff for Pletcher, you get Saez aboard. And I agree with you. There's quite a bit of speed signed on here. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. I expect both of our horses to be off the pace. I don't think you're going gate to wire today if that 4-horse is able to win. I think it's probably coming from the second flight. But it's a fun little, tricky little race there, the Gulfstream 7th race. Papa Dude, did you look at this one at all?
No, of course not.
Did you have my 5 and second, Aaron?
Let's see. Let me pull up who I've got. Yes, 5. Really good. Sneaky horse. Look out. 5. Closer. Pletcher. Get him.
4-5. Box it up. Call it home. There we
That's
go.
Right. That's right.
All right. I got to pull up the best bets little thing here. So if Aaron, you want to talk amongst yourself for a second, that'd be great.
Well, listen, a lot of people in the chat talking about the WWE possibly being sold to Saudi Arabia. That is a big, big story in my world right now, and it's going crazy. So WWE getting sold to Saudi Arabia could be the end of wrestling in this country as far as WWE is concerned. Also, Magic going to AEW tonight, the only wrestling company that actually matters.
So would the Saudis give all the wrestlers like millions of dollars if they did that, like they did with the LIV tour? Would it be a similar scenario where all of a sudden you get like better athletes because of the money?
It's possible they're going to have to go that way because a lot of their current roster is going to be out at the door, I have a feeling. So, yeah, they're going to have to get some new people. Also, all the women in the company are really worried today for sure because that would not be good for them.
Didn't McMahon just come back and get voted chairman of the board too?
Correct. So McMahon, because of many accusations of sexual assault, left 6 months ago.
No, him?
Yeah. Big shock. Everybody was like, great. Like all the old wrestlers that he fired were coming back. Everybody was so happy. And then last week they go, we're hearing rumors that Vince McMahon's like pulling the strings to try to get back. He's back like late last week. His daughter resigns last night, which is that's not good at all. That Stephanie resigned. That's a really bad sign for the future. And now we're rumors that the Saudis could buy him, Disney could buy him. They're definitely for sale. We'll see.
Interesting. Disney would be interesting. Bob Iger taking back the helm there, having everybody come back 4 days a week, immediately making changes to park prices, pulling in something like the WWE would be an interesting move there because you have the ABC and ESPN channels to put that out on, which would be a very good thing for the WWE if you did that. And you have Disney Plus as a pay-per-view modem, or ESPN Plus as a pay-per-view option right out of the gate as well. Kind of like what they've done with some of the UFC fights.
The rumors are absolutely flying, and that still could be a possibility. Everybody's kind of jumping to the gun. This is a major story. This will be a story within the sports headlines, within the business headlines, because the company right now is public. It's a publicly traded company, and that's what got Vince in the trouble because Vince is out doing all this shit and using company money to pay the lawyers to get out of these problems, and it's like, well, you got to know that. Your shareholders got to know that. So a lot of rumors it might go back to private. This is going to be a wild, wild story. 5 years from now, when they look back at this and how he threw his kids out to overtake the company, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, and Magic brings us up. Disney talking about spinning off ESPN, which would make it interesting here. I would say that would make it more likely because it doesn't seem very on brand for Disney to own the WWE. No. So we'll see. We'll see how that saga plays out. I'm sure we'll mention it again here. Glad you brought that one up. See, that's why I throw it to you in these spots. I know you got something there. All right, let's look at our bets. Best bets of the day. Your Papa Dude taking ECU plus the 10.5. Xavier money line plus 220. Aaron Gulfstream Park race number 7. Horse number 4. 5-2 morning line. I'm going with the Kings laying the 9.5 tonight. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. More bets.